Good afternoon. Sorry for delaying and started. The course will take up the next case, C190090 CPS. This is in the interest of the Oviedo children. The case is set for a permanency hearing and pretrial. The case is currently set for trial August 4th, 2021 at 3 p.m. with the dismissal date of September 1st, 2021. Hearing is being conducted pursuant to emergency orders of the Texas Supreme Court via Zoom video conference. Participating in the hearing today on behalf of the department is caseworker Brendan Ziders and Regional Attorney Deborah Keenum. Mother of the child is Laura Ann Hernandez, and she is not present. Her attorney ad litem is Nathan Butler, and he is not present with the permission of the court due to a court conflict. He has filed a statement with the court indicating he's not had any recent contact with the respondent mother. The respondent father, Juan Pablo Oviedo, I believe, reportedly resides in Mexico, and he is not present. His attorney ad litem is Marciela Mendoza, and she is present. Brad Harrelson is present as the attorney ad litem for the children, and he has also filed a statement with the court. The CASA guardian ad litem representatives for the children are Connie Gawain and Carol Pierce, both of whom are participating here in the courtroom. The children are excused from participating in the hearing today. If we're ready to proceed, I'd ask Ms. Ziders and Ms. Gawain and Ms. Pierce, if each of you could raise your right hands, please. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give today before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. All right, if we're ready, Ms. King.
Yes, the department would call Brenda Ziders.
You can go ahead and proceed.
Ms. Ziders, would you please state your name for the record?
Brenda Ziders.
And the department has received back notice from Mexico that an attempt was made to serve Juan Pablo Oviedo. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And he was no longer located at the residence or at the location that was provided and had been transferred to another facility.
Correct.
As far as the children, let's talk about Zenaida. What has happened since the last time we've been in court?
The last time since we've been in court, Zenaida was placed with her second cousin, Kendra Gonzalez, and she's doing very well in that placement.
And what is the permanency plan for Zenaida?
It is relative fictive kin adoption.
How did Zenaida finish out her school year?
Zenaida finished out her school year, the 8th grade at Glenn Middle School, with all passing grades. She also tried out for the volleyball team for the Central Freshman campus, and she made that team. So she's been doing some summer workouts. So she will be promoted to a 9th grader at the Central Freshman campus next year.
Has she begun any of her PALS classes?
She has done some meetings with Matthew Hasty, our PALS coordinator. And so the next step that I am going to do with Zenaida is kind of like the inventory list of likes, dislikes, interests, and things like that. So I'll be doing that with her later this month.
And is the new placement interested in being her permanent placement?
Yes, they are.
Update the court. Let me go back to Zenaida. Is she still in counseling, or where is she at in that process?
She is not attending counseling on a regular basis. She is on an as-needed basis with Stephanie Thomas.
And does she have any special medical issues that the court needs to be aware of?
No, she does not have any.
Update the court on what happened to Juan Pablo's placement and where he's currently at.
JP is currently back at Burke Center for Youth at the RTC. He was here with a family member in San Angelo, and they no longer could continue to keep Juan in placement due to some of his behavioral issues. And so Juan was placed back at Burke Center for Youth. And that was on April the 8th of this year.
How did that affect his education?
It did not. He transitioned very well. Once he was at back at Burke, we immediately had an ARD meeting for him, and so that they could implement the current special education things that were set out for JP. And so he transitioned very well.
How is he doing in his current program?
Right now, he is having a little bit of some defiant behaviors. He had advanced. Their behavior is on what they call stages. Stage 1 is obviously where they begin, and then stage 2, they get to earn a few more privileges and things of that nature. And Juan is back down on stage 1, unfortunately, due to some recent defiant behaviors.
And does that affect his ability for visitation?
It can affect his ability for visitation. Burke Center had, right after Juan was placed at back at Burke Center, they had a positive COVID case, and so they shut down visitation for quite some time. They opened that back up in June, and he's not allowed to be checked off or checked out to leave campus for visitation. So that puts a little bit more of a strain or stipulation on when he can have visits. But he can have in-person visits on the first and third Saturdays of the month from 11 to 1. And we actually have his first face-to-face visit with his sister this Saturday.
Okay. And so part of the reason why he was moved in April, what happened in May? Was he able to have any visits with his sister in May?
That was when they had the positive COVID case in April. So their visitation was shut down for quite some time.
Okay.
He does have phone calls and contact with Sinaida.
Okay.
So and he's able to call out, and then he's able to receive calls as well.
So they've maintained phone contact for sibling visitation, and they'll begin in-person visitation. He's not able to leave the campus yet. And once he's able to do that, then we'll facilitate his visitation and hers off campus.
Correct.
Okay. And is he on any special medication?
JP is taking a couple of medications. He is taking some Vyvanse, I believe, yes, for ADHD, and then also fluvoxamine for depression.
And has that been reviewed recently or within the time frame requirements for the department?
Yes, that was actually reviewed the end of May.
Okay. And his permanency plan is also the same?
Yes, relative fictive kin adoption or non-related adoption as a secondary.
And is the plan to place him with that second cousin with Sinaida, or are we looking for an additional relative for JP?
Unfortunately, the placement who has Sinaida is not able to take JP at this time. So the department is still looking for any additional family members that might be a viable placement for JP.
Have we staffed for a sibling split?
We have, I would have to check that, but I believe we have. I don't have the date on the top of my head.
Pass the witness.
Thank you. Ms. Mendoza, any questions?
Just a couple. When was the attempt made for service of my client?
That's been made on several occasions. I'm sorry, Ms. Mendoza, I don't have the exact dates in front of me, but the department did just receive notification, I believe last month through our liaison, that he had been moved when they attempted to serve, that he had been moved.
So he's the last attempt that was made was at the, I guess, prison that he was at, and now he's been moved somewhere else.
That is my understanding, yes.
Okay. And do we know where that location is?
We have not been provided that information.
No further questions, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. Harrelson, any questions?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Ms. Iders, is Burke Center for Youth a long-term placement?
The option for long-term placement, JP can stay there for long-term. However, obviously, we want what is in JP's best interest. And so if he does well there and there is another viable option, then, definitely we want to look at that with family. But yes, Burke Center for Youth does offer long-term options for JP.
And so if Juan's preference is to remain at Burke and age out, and there's no viable alternative for that, is that something that could happen?
Yes.
Okay. And Juan seems to do, well, I can't say very well. He seems to do better in a more rigid, structured environment like he gets at Burke. Would you agree with that?
I would.
And being in a home situation, somehow, some way, that just kind of brings out whatever there is in Juan that makes him misbehave. Is that pretty fair as well?
That is a fair statement.
Yes. Okay. From Ms. Pierce's report, I've seen that Burke does have a transitional program where a child can reach the age of 18 and then move on into further assisted but independent living through the Burke program. Is that correct?
That is my understanding as well. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Keenan, did you have additional questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Any other questions from Ms. Iders from anyone? Ms. Keenan, do you have other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Mendoza, any other witnesses or matters?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Harrelson?
I'll call Carol Pierce unless she just wants to address the court, which is fine with me.
All right. Ms. Pierce?
I don't know if you can hear. Yeah, you can hear me.
Yes, ma'am.
I was reading a lot of stuff on Juan in the records down there today, and that child wants attention. He doesn't care if it's positive or negative. That's all he can. He'll be good, but then he wants the attention, so he looks for negative attention. He don't care as long as he gets attention. But he's where he should be.
Well, thank you. Anything else you'd like to let the court know about the case, ma'am?
No, I don't think. So
Okay.
Nina is in good shape.
All right. Thank you. All right. Well, is there anything else from anyone for today?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
I do.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Pierce.
I thought on that notification that they moved Dad to another prison. I'd have to look, but I thought they gave you all a city or state or something. I mean, they're in Mexico.
They did give a city, I believe.
Okay. Is there how many prisons in that city, I wonder?
I'm not aware. So we can look into that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask y'all to do. If we had a city, there's bound to be somebody going to tell us, whoever it is that's been doing the research for y'all. They should be able to find him.
Well, that brings me to my next question. We have a trial set on August 4th, 2023. 21. Ms. Keenum, what is the department's plans relating to trying to get Mr. Oviedo served at his new location?
We can attempt to see if we can locate where he's at. However, I believe it'll take 6 to 9 months, unfortunately, to have him served through Mexico.
Why would it take 6 to 9 months? I thought y'all had already initiated this process.
I understand, but I believe it still takes that long for the paperwork to go through Mexico. It may.
Well, you know, I understand the difficulty in dealing with a foreign jurisdiction and getting somebody served. But I got to tell you, I mean, this case was filed once before, had to be dismissed and refiled. We're now basically 2 years into the second case. And from what I understand you're telling me, you have no idea if and when you may get him served this time. That's just not acceptable to me. I'm going to order the department to prepare a detailed report to be filed prior to trial. It sets forth every step the department has taken from the start of this case, and by the start of the case, I mean from the very first case to now. Who you communicate with, what efforts were done to try to get him served, what the response was, attach any appropriate correspondence or documents or emails that reference that. These children are 14 and 13, and I don't propose to keep, unless I have to, keep dismissing and refiling the same suit over and over again, because that appears to be what we're planning on doing, and that's just ridiculous. Something needs to get done, and I don't know how we're going to get it done or how I'm going to get it done, but I'm going to try to find a way to get it done. And if somebody down in Austin needs to come down and testify as to why we can't get this done, I guess maybe we may get to that point, because I cannot understand how, if this gentleman's in prison in Mexico, that we can't get him served. So I need that report filed before the trial set in this case. I'll continue the department as temporary managing server of the children and continue them in a current placement at this time.